Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews where you're going to get from right here major value on Island City where the beach meets the streets. Today we're going to be interviewing the only Chamorro writer for Hollywood shows, screenwrites, all this stuff. Is brother Freddie Guiterrez. Has just an amazing story of perseverance and being resilient and being faithful. That's all wrapped around family, where his parents absolutely supported him, and now he's really getting some things done in the past 3 years of 15 years of struggle. The last 3 years has been very good, and he's going to share his success stories and his significance and his thoughts about life, leadership, and business and not quitting here on the Coach V Show. So stay tuned, get a pen and paper ready, or get your notepad ready on your phone and take some notes and jot down some words and life lessons that you may find value in right here on Island City where the beach meets the streets. And now a word from our sponsor. Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life, offering for your consideration through some of my insights, but definitely through our featured guests, these success frameworks and behavioral models and life lessons that if you should find value in them in terms of your life, leadership, business, and relationships, that you subscribe and deploy it all over your life, leadership, and business. Here on the Coach V Show, powered by Island City Media Group and broadcast from Dash Radio Studios, Hollywood, California. And today I am juiced. I've been trying to get this guy on the show and be featured, brother Freddie Guiterrez. And Freddie is a Chamorro hailing from the island of Guam. And being a self-proclaimed military brat, he says that he's lived all over the world. He went to a film school at Cal State Northridge and graduated in 1995. In 1999, he sold his first screenplay to MGM Studios, and his professional writing career started. Since then, he's written for, check out these names, Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg, Method Man, and Redman. He's also written on Nickelodeon, Disney, and Cartoon Network for shows like Liv and Maddie, Sonic Boom, and Just Jordan. He's currently working on the Nickelodeon show That Girl Lele, after working on 2 other Nickelodeon shows, Santiago of the Seas and Young Dylan, for the past 3 years. Freddie's passion is writing and inspiring so that he can inspire other Islanders to do what he's doing. Welcome to the Coach V Show here in Island City. Your boy, Freddie Guiterrez. Freddie, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, man, thank you. Hafideo, malo lele there, Coach. I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Yeah, malo lele, brother. Off us to you, and thanks for coming on. Freddie, let's start up. So we know you went to school, film school out at Cal State Northridge. But talk about where did you grow up? How did you get here? When did the family come to the States? Catch us up on that, please.
Okay. I came to the States in like late 70s, like 77.
Okay.
We were only here for a few years. Then we got stationed back on our side of the world. We were in the Philippines. So it was really cool because I was able to go back and forth home to Guam a lot. And then from there, we got stationed in Germany. So I was there for most of my elementary and high school. And then I finished up high school, though, here in California, in Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park.
Okay.
And then went to college at Northridge. And the rest is history as far as, where I've been here for a long time now. So,
yeah. And what are you currently doing? And so explain what that is, because Man, especially your brother Q, he's always like, man, we got to get Freddie on the show. He's doing some big things. What exactly do you do? Screenwriting, writing? Explain to the audience what that is.
So like right now, currently I'm on That Girl Lately. I'm one of the writers on staff. There's a staff of writers. And we basically come up with the ideas for the episode. And then, the writer is assigned, a writer from the staff is assigned to write that particular episode. And yeah, then pretty much, so we're constantly writing, rewriting, coming up with new ideas and new episodes. And so that's what we do. And then during the actual shooting process, there's a little bit of writing or rewriting while they're shooting. If a joke's not working or a scene's kind of a little off, we'll figure out a way while, in between takes to fix the scene. So yeah, that's basically our job. It's just a lot of writing, but I get paid to make jokes all day, man. So I'm living the dream.
And how long? So you went to Cal State Northridge in 1995. So explain the struggle of the game and to get started, right? Because right now everybody like, man, Freddie balling. He's doing great. He's on Nickelodeon. He's writing for Disney. He's with Snoop Dogg. He's with right. But talk about, the grind of starting your dream, please, Freddie.
Well, after film school, I actually went to film school for directing, right? And
okay.
But this was in the 90s, so it was before we had digital, cameras or cameras on our phones, so everything was film. And if you wanted to be a director in Hollywood, you needed to shoot a reel, like kind of like a demo of what you do as a director, and you had to shoot it on film to be taken seriously. And that costs upwards of anywhere from like 10 to 30,000, or depending on how high you want to go. But the lowest I think was, you're still looking at around $10,000-15,000. And, this is 1995. So that was way too much money for me to ask my folks, or, I'd have to save up forever for that. So I felt like, I had a knack for writing in film school. So I started to write screenplays, hoping that I could get a screenplay out there that a studio or a producer would like, and like enough to where I would bargain my way into being the director of the film. That never happened. Right. But I ended up linking up with these two guys separately, and then we became together as a team, a writing team, and we started writing scripts together. And but from the time that I got out of film school to the time I sold my first script, it was about 4.5 years of like what you said. It was a grind. I wanted to be a comedy writer, or I wanted to, my passion was comedy. And so I ate and slept, and, my life was comedy. And so I had a regular job, and I got a job in Hollywood. A buddy of mine hooked me up with a gig as a production assistant, and I worked my way up the ladder from post-production assistant to an assistant editor. And I made, I played the game. I did what they told me to do. I busted my butt so that they saw that I was really working hard. So, and right around about 2-3 years after working there, I'm writing, but the digital camera started coming out, and our company got those digital cameras. And I was working for a post-production house, but they were attached to a production company. And I was able to basically, I got in my boss's good graces. He started letting me use the cameras. And so me and my buddy started shooting short films with those cameras. And and so, yeah, it was just a grind. Like, we were shooting short films. I got a job at the Improv. So I was the DJ at the Improv on Monday nights. So it was like that Def Comedy Jam night. So, and at the time it was, I'm bringing up Dave Chappelle, I'm bringing up Chris Rock, I'm bringing up Jamie Foxx and Cat Williams and those guys. And Cat at the time was like just trying to get in. It's funny, I'm so happy to see how his career is just blown up, because when I was at the Improv, he was like begging for time on stage, and he wouldn't always get it. Like, he was that guy, but he was hustling. And but I met all of these comics, Maestro Clark, like a lot of the guys that I grew up watching on Def Jam when I was in college. Now I'm bringing these dudes up, and it was amazing. But I learned so much about comedy by just being there at the Comedy Store and watching these people perform. And I started networking and just doing whatever I could to get into that world. And there was a film festival that happened down in South Central that if you submitted the film, it was for filmmakers of color, and if you submitted your film, the host would put it in. It was like there's no screening process. He would just, he was just encouraging people to try and create films. And so me and my partners did one. It did really well, and he put it in the best of for at the end of the year, which is also in the big Pan-African Film Festival that happened at Magic Johnson's theaters. And we thought it was like the biggest thing in the world, right? We honestly thought this was it. Our careers are going to start, like these people are going to see our short film. We're going to blow up, and man, it was the complete opposite.
Right.
They booed and hissed us. Like they hated our film because it was a very kind of Black conservative crowd, and we had ours was a really edgy short film. It was comedy, but they weren't really feeling it. And I'll never forget, like we were like our actors were trying to sneak out in the middle of the movie because they were so embarrassed, because like we had, it was literally a tale of two different nights. One night everybody thought we were the shit at that first film festival. Now we're over here and we're like literally the hate. You could feel the hate in the room. And so that night ended. We thought our careers were over.
Right.
And about 2-3 weeks later, I'm sitting at home. I was like, for those 2-3 weeks, I was just depressed, man. I was going to work. I was living with my fiance at the time, and I was going to work and just coming home. And I think like I literally made the decision. I'm done. I quit. Like
right.
Because it was that horrible of a night. And I'll never forget this moment because it almost feels like a movie. I sat on the couch, and in my mind, I said, I'm done. If God wants this to happen, then God can make it happen, but I'm done. I'm out. And I kid you not, I put that on anything. The moment I said that, leaned back, the phone rang. And I was like, I picked up the phone and I was like, hello. And it was this lady. She goes, hi, I'm from Lick Miller Production Companies. We heard about your film. We heard it's really funny. Could you send it to us? We'd love to take a look. And like I said, I was done. I was out. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like I was kind of being a dick to her. I was rude. And she's like, well, let me give you the address. And I didn't take the address down. I didn't write it down, but I did. Like I was scribbling. And then I decided to write the phone number down. And I said, yeah, all right. I hung up, sat down on the couch, didn't think nothing of it. My fiance at the time was there. She turned, she goes, who's that? I don't know. Some chick saying she wanted to wanted to see our film.
Yeah.
She goes, who is she? I was like, I don't know. I quit. I'm done. She goes, what? I said, I quit and I'm done. And then she laid into me for 5 minutes about, you've been putting me through all of this for the last 5 years and blah, 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 blah. And you ain't gonna. And so I was like, fine. And I got on the phone, called her back. And I said, all right, hey, this was Freddie. You just called. She's like, yeah. I said, look, I don't mean to be rude, but who are you? Like, what have you done? Because I don't know who these people were, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, well, we just finished Cable Guy on Waterworld. And I was like, yeah, can I get that address again? So,
yeah.
So we sent it off to her. About another month later, she calls back and says, hey, we loved it. We'd love for you to come in and pitch us some ideas. Me and my partners went in, we pitched, they took one of the ideas, and that was the idea that we ended up selling about a year later to MGM, a year and a half later to MGM. And our careers took off from there. But the thing was, and this is kind of, so for people listening, you just never know who's around, because what happened was that night, even though it was the worst night in our lives, we felt there was a director there whose film was also in the film festival. He was kind of a hot director out of USC at the time, and I actually loved his short film. Didn't know the guy at all, though. He saw our film and thought it was super funny. He had a meeting with Lick Miller, that's the same people who we were with, because he was the hot guy, and while he was in the meeting, they happened to just say, hey, we're wanting to get into more comedy stuff. Do you know any comedy writers or guys that you think are funny? He goes, Yeah, I saw this film that I thought was really funny at this film festival I was in. He goes, I don't know them, but you can track them down by this. And he gave them Eugene, who ran the film festival. We gave them their number. They tracked us down through Eugene, and that's how our career got started, from someone we never knew. And so
Amazing.
it's amazing, right? And so about a year later, we were the producers, those guys, Lick Miller, were able to, they set up a lunch for us to meet. His name is Adam Driver, I think is his, or Adam Shoot. Now I'm forgetting his name, but I'll remember. It's Adam's. And so we met him, had lunch with him, and just thanked him for doing what he did, because like we owe him our careers.
Yeah.
He ended up directing a couple films for, I think he did one for MGM too. I don't know what he's doing anymore. I got to look him up, but yeah, like, so honestly, like, you just never know how God's going to work, and who's out there watching. Like, you just don't know. There's people out there that are taking notice and could be putting in a word for you, even though you have no connection to them at all. And
that's amazing. Man,
yeah.
when is that going to be a screenplay? When is that going to be a screenplay?
For reals, right?
I mean, that's just an amazing story. But it does lead me to what it is that I coach companies and my individual clients on, is that, and you let me know what your thoughts are on this, right, Freddie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so yeah, the point is to become more effective and efficient in the achievement of the success.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you become what it is that you want, then what it is that you were chasing now starts chasing and is attracted to you. That's what happened.
Okay, yeah.
Let me say that again. And then when you become, because you're working on your craft, you're grinding for 4 years, and then you've actually become, in spite of the haters, the critics, and the naysayers, and even your own self-doubt. I talk about this stuff all the time, right? And then I'm like, and then what happens is, yes, you become effective and efficient at the achievement of it, but because you become it, what you were chasing now starts chasing and is attracted to you. Come on, Freddie. What are your thoughts on that?
Amen. Hey, that's deep and that's real, man. Like, I agree with that 100%, because like you said, I think once you get to that point where you start to achieve what you're chasing, it somehow brings out something in you that you didn't know you had, and people see it. And you may not see it, though. You may not see it, because I didn't see it.
That's right. In spite of the haters, the people booing you, the critics, the naysayers, and your own self-doubt, you straight quit. You're like, I'm done. And in spite of that, it chased, attracted, and things connected the dots. A lot of people call it, the law. What do they call it? There's a law that they call it. Man, that's what happens when you're talking, right? You got to figure out how to say it in English. But I call it grace, unmerited and undeserved favor. I call it grace, right?
Amen.
But the law of attraction, they just call it the law of attraction, right? That's the law of attraction. And I agree with that. But I also think, because my tongue and ass, to be where it is that I am today, the Lord knows there's some unmerited and undeserved favor that kind of help, right? Come on. Anything else before we move on, Freddie, on that whole attraction, grace, blessings, anything?
I mean, I will say, like, my career has been so up and down. I mean, and we'll probably get into that a little later.
Yeah.
But I will say, like you said, that unmerited favor, that grace is, when you look back, you see how that carried you through a lot of those dark times, and those times where you were super low and didn't think you could go on. And I agree with that 100%. Like, you need it, and it's there, but I wouldn't be here without it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I can't, because there's so many things about the universe and what happens to life, like death, like cancer. There's so many unexplainables, right? But I do know the positive unexplainables. For me, I'm just grateful for it. And that's why pretty much I'm a pretty positive person, right? But and I tell my clients this all the time. They're like, man, I got to respond better. I got to react better. No. Human reaction is human reaction. professionals respond according to success and life fulfillment. Let me say that again, right?
Mm.
It's everybody's human and will feel that reaction. And you're not a bad person for feeling that way or reacting that way. But the next choice after that is yours to make. And that's the difference between professionals in loss and failure, and as well as winning and succeeding. Their response is always going to be, well, here's the objective, here's the goal. I'm going this way. And despite the fact that I've never seen shit happen positive for my ass when I'm whining, complaining, blaming, subscribing to haters or my own self-doubt. Talk about that, Freddie. Talk
Amen.
about
For
that.
real. That's absolutely correct. Like you can't, if you start to agree and start to wallow in the failure and keep replaying that failure over and over instead of moving on from it, you can't go to the next level. And I had to learn that the hard way, but because there was plenty of times in this, and especially in these last 15 years, where it was, I kept having to have those gut checks kind of things, but there were times where I was wallowing in it and in the failure and believing the naysayers and for a moment. And but I think in all of us, I mean, for most of us, I'd say hopefully all of us, there's that voice inside of you that's like, and sometimes it's the faintest, tiniest, like quietest voice, but it's like you can't give up, and you have to listen for it, and agree with it and keep it moving. And I did that. And I know a big part of what helped me in that whole world of when I'm down was before I became, it's another part of it too. So when I sold that first script in 99, I was juggling two careers besides my day-to-day job. I was a fighter. I was boxing, and I was on my way to turn pro. And on a month before I sold my script, I tore my shoulder training for my first pro fight. So literally one career ended and one began within 1 month of each other. And so again, I look back, and then every time I tried to turn pro, I'd get hurt or something. So it was literally God telling me I can't. That's not for me. Even if I just wanted one pro fight, I just wanted to have that under my belt. He wouldn't allow it to happen. But what I took from, boxing's in me, it's in my blood. And the one thing that I think that being a fighter and being someone that you're taught, no matter how bad it is and dudes punching on you, you still got a chance. Cause if I land that one shot, that's it. Right. And those times when it was dark and when it was tough and when I failed, or when I was perceived as failing, even though I knew I wasn't, and I wanted to give up because of that, it was like, I can just, if I land this one shot, if I keep going and land this one shot, I'm gonna win. And that's kind of what kept me going in all of those dark times, is that boxer's mentality of just never giving up. And it the fruits of that is starting to pay off now. So
yeah, man, you're the Chamorro Sugar Shane Mosley, huh? Remember Sugar Shane?
Actually, I met him one time, and it was funny because, I came into the gym, he was sparring, and I was like, oh my God, it's Sugar Shane. And I didn't know he was going to be there that day. And I was just in awe, and he came over to the corner where I was at, and he spit, because he was spitting in a spit bucket, but he missed and hit me. And I was like, oh, and he was like, oh, and I thought he was, Sugar Shane. And I thought he was going to be like, whatever, or not even. He was
he's a good dude.
Apologetic. He was like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, it's cool. I was like, it's all good, brother. You do your thing. And but yeah, mad cool dude. So
yeah, man. Sugar Shane is a Pomona boy. He's a Pomona boy. So I grew up in Pomona, and we love Sugar Shane, man.
Wait. So if you grew up in Pomona, did you know the Weaver triplets?
I don't know them. No. What year would they have graduated high school?
The Weavers, they're 8 years older than me, so they were probably early 80s, like 81, 82.
No, they were before me. I graduated in 94.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's when Sugar Shane and those guys they were rocking, and we were just watching from afar.
Okay, so the Weavers, their brother was Mike Weaver, heavyweight champ of the world, and he,
Yep.
it's all Pomona. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
okay,
know of them and I've
okay,
heard of them, but I never knew that crew.
oh,
And then because, in the early, I got to Pomona in '85,
okay,
and then I was like a third, fourth grader at that time.
gotcha.
So they were a little bit before my time, but
I,
everybody else after that, I claim anybody who's Islander, Polynesian, or from Pomona, whether we're related or not, I claim
yeah,
your ass. So
they-
you know how we roll, Freddie.
I
It's
do, I
it's just for
do.
the humor. Hey,
Yeah,
but talk about this. Talk about this. And I'm just so intrigued with Hollywood. Like our my wife and I are watching Yellowstone, and we're watching the break off of that. It's like 19 something
23.
23, right?
Yeah.
The generation before.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I love action, but if it's got no depth,
Right.
if it's got right. So that's what I love about comedy, because I think it's like anything, human engagement and to grab attention. I mean, that's the name of the game in everything right now, right?
Hmm.
Eyeballs, eyeballs, eyeballs. And every marketer knows that. But I just love how, because you have to impact how a person thinks, how they feel, what they do, how they see things, and how they say things. So that's a success framework for me, right? But I mean, I just think it's so hilarious. Like right now, it's like, who's our Filipino brother? Joseph,
Yeah.
yeah, that dude right there, man. I think we all connect to it, we vibe with it. And then when you're a great presenter and great in front of people, but to be actually the person designing that on script,
Mm.
I think that's ingenious. Talk about how you guys think about it, right? Because it's a people approach. It's a human approach. Because you can't make people laugh, be engaged, or tune in with the number of options out there for entertainment. Nobody's going to pay and come watch a comedy show. Nobody's going to show and watch something on Nickelodeon unless they're connected to it. Not just value,
Right.
but
Right.
connected. Your thoughts, Freddie? How hard is that? And am
It's
I even close?
you're absolutely no, you're right on track because with comedy, like you said with Joe and or any comedian, but especially with when it comes to comedy, the way you get people to laugh is they have to relate to it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and so a lot of time, I mean, whether it's Joe
Yep.
or whether it's Kevin Hart or any of those, a lot of times they're talking about their lives and they're pulling from things that you can relate to, but they're making you look at it through a different lens because from their point of view of things. And that's kind of comedy and comedies. But and it's funny because I became a student of the game when it came to comedy too. Like even though I may be a decently funny dude, I kept wanting to like really like just know the ins and out of comedy. And one of the things that you really learn about comedy is pain, because at the end of the day, something painful has to happen to somebody for you to laugh to a certain degree. There's and it's either shock value or pain, but that's why some of the funniest comics like Richard Pryor, those guys come from dark places. They grew up in dark worlds, and they're now able to take what they went through in those dark times, but put a different lens on it so you could see it from a funnier point of view. But a lot of comics, like I said, I worked at the Improv for 2 years around
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
And I mean, great people, but you can see a lot of them are there's a lot of darkness that they had to go through in order for them to have that kind of life. Not always, but you see some of the greats. They came from really tough times, and comedy comes out of that. And so comedy's really about life, but just looking at life from a skewed angle a
Yeah,
lot of times.
yeah.
And so when we're doing the scripts, like we're a bunch of adults writing for these kids, but at the end of the day, we've all been kids. And then
Right.
kids, even though I'm a 50-year-old dude writing for these 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds, we all still went through the same things. There's just different now it's just different it's the same things, but different in the sense of we all go through heartbreak. We all go through, wanting people to, acknowledge us, or we want to be
That's right.
popular, all of those things. It's just different now with social media and all of those things, but it's still the same thing, but in a different way. And so you're still able to, most of us, when I'm pitching shows or pitching ideas for those episodes, a lot of times I'm just grabbing from my personal experiences or from my friends who have kids, and being around them and seeing those situations that I'm like, that was kind of funny. Let me now take that, and how would my characters react if they were put in that situation, and then boom, that's how it kind of goes. So it's always about what the character is, who those characters are, and how they will react to those situations, and then finding those funny, interesting, or just unique situations to put them in. And a lot of times the comedy will kind of write itself sometimes because of the characters that are already been created. And shout out to David Arnold, the creator of our show, rest in peace. He passed away last year, but he created an amazing show. It's funny because they bring it up all the time, how David created the show. But it was kind of like, I created a show for Nickelodeon, but his passion and dreams were stand-up comedy. And he just had 2 Netflix specials. His Netflix special came out a month and a half before he passed away. And dude was on the rise, but he fell in love with the show he created as it kept going on because of the characters he created. And the mom and dad on the show, he based on him and his wife. And so a lot of his life was already in the show, and he created this just really rich world that now we're able to take those characters that he created and just play with them, have fun with them, and create funny episodes. So yeah, he did an amazing job, and shout out to him. Rest in peace.
Awesome. Yeah.
And, he gave me my shot to get back in on in a certain, I was already working, but this was to get on the show was huge, and it's really changed my life. So yeah.
Good for you too, Freddie. Good to you. Good for you too, man. And that's why we're featuring you, because we want to let other people know, what inspires you is to inspire others, is that someone is going to watch or hear you or find out about you and go, whoa, that guy looks like me. I have a shot. I love that. And that's what Q and Island City is about, is making sure that we feature guests like that, and people in success stories and your significance like you, so that people go, yeah, man, Freddie did it.
Exactly. I always, like, when I go back, when I'm getting interviewed in Guam, sometimes, I'll be interviewed by the newspaper or the news because of an episode coming out or something. And look, I'm right now, I think I'm the only professional Chamorro writer in Hollywood. So if there's a little bit of a weight on my back to make sure I represent right. But I always try and say this: at the end of the day, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I'm not the most talented, I'm not the funniest, I'm not the most clever, but I grind and I don't stop and I don't give up. Even when there's times I did give up, God wouldn't let me give up. And then I learned from that time, from when I sat on the couch and said that till now, you just got to keep moving and never stop believing in yourself. As cliche as that sounds, that's who I am. And that's where I am because of that. And so again, I'm not the most talented, I'm not the funniest, but I don't stop grinding, and I don't take no for an answer. And trust me, we didn't get a chance to get into it all the way, but man, these last 15 years have been one of the most fulfilling, but almost one of the, it was out of my 50 years, these last 15 have been the toughest, roughest, and darkest. And I came out of it, and now these last 3 years have been amazing. So, I'm hoping that this, God willing, it's the beginning of something great. And again, it's about showing the world that we come from small islands, but we make big impacts. And I want the world to see that.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And you're already touching on this, is what would be your main message? Is there a phrase, a quote that would be Freddie's message to the world? You're already on that path.
Yeah.
So let's go there right now.
Wow. I don't know if I have a quote. I mean, it's don't stop. I mean, again, I don't want to sound so cliche, but it's true.
No, but you're already on it. Yeah.
Yeah. You just can't, it won't work until you have to believe in yourself. At the end of the day, you have to, it all comes from inside, and you can't get anybody else to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And I know that's been said many
Say
times.
that again, Freddie, for all of us to hear.
You can't get anybody to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And that's kind of been, it's been my mantra, I guess, for the last 20 something years, almost 30. But yeah, about the last 25 years has been that, because again, especially in the 90s, up until The Rock started, Dwayne Johnson started doing his thing, him and Momoa, which was only about what, the last 10 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
Hollywood didn't give a damn about us. I would get in the rooms and they didn't care if I pitched some ideas about Pacific Islanders or something about our culture, didn't care. And if they know that sounds good, they'd rework it to make it. They didn't care about the culture. They didn't care about being accurate. It was, all right, we'll take that idea and do with it what we want, but we're not going to stay true or be accurate or care about the culture. But thank God, people like Taika, people like Dwayne and Jason Momoa have kind of opened those doors to where now they realize, oh, our cultures are relevant and they're rich and they're interesting and they're amazing. And now when I'm in these rooms pitching these things, they listen. And I just did Santiago of the Seas, what we were talking about, and the episode I wrote for that show. It's the first time I think you had that much Chamorro spoken on a network television show.
Yeah.
And it was going to be the first time in television history where it was going to be Chamorro, Samoan, Hawaiian, and Spanish all spoken in one episode. But but because of some technical things, they had recorded, but something happened, so they had to cut the Hawaiian and Samoan out at the end. It was only one word each. It was just aloha and talofa, but I kept explaining to them one word makes all the difference in the world to anybody, to any culture. And I showed them videos. I was getting videos from people around the country sending me videos of their kids watching Santiago. And when they said, when the little girl goes half a day, they just exploded. And it was like, wow, because they finally got to, they felt seen, felt relevant.
That's right.
And that's what these parents were telling me. And it was like, yo, it kind of got me. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like it still gets me to know that I did that to these kids, so I was trying to tell them, even though I know that they had to cut it for relevant reasons, it just broke my heart because I was trying to tell them, like, one word makes all the difference.
Yes, sir.
And so, yeah. So, but I mean, shout out to those guys, Dwayne and Jason and Taika and all them, because they've opened the doors and now made it that Hollywood's listening to us a little more now. And they took me serious when I pitched these things. And now they're on TV. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, my wife and I and the fam, we just went and saw Avatar. And like, man, what's up? It's like they got New Zealand Avatar. Like they got Maori Avatar. It's like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely. I just saw a thing that James Cameron said he actually used a lot of that Avatar culture he took from Polynesian culture, like
because the Maoris, man, they got the tattoos and everything on there, man.
Even before in the first one too, because he was saying when their language and everything, he said because our cultures are so the ocean is so much to do. He felt like he needed, from the little bit of what I read in the articles, he felt like he needed that was the right cultures to base these Avatar, that world on. And I felt proud about that too. Like,
oh man, my kids were eating popcorn and when they left this one world to go and to the Sea World area or whatever, and then Junior and Susan Melly were like,
right,
tattoos and everything. So it's like you said, the connection, right?
Yes.
feeling valid and valued, being seen, being heard. That is that's a human platform that everyone is searching for. Come on,
Absolutely.
Freddie.
100. And I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm happy for in the indigenous in Mexico and all of that, but it broke my heart when the second Black Panther, the sequel, when they made Submariner from that culture, and I'm like, the ocean is who we are. Like
Yeah, right.
us.
We saw that movie too.
And yeah, and to make the Submariner come from that culture instead of our culture. Again, I'm not hating,
Yeah,
but
no doubt. Not hating. Yeah.
it's not hating, but it's like, wait, if any culture in the world needs to be about the water in the ocean, it should be ours. And no one else. I mean, that is like what we have done as people and how we've navigated the ocean and how we made the ocean, like how the way we are so symbiotic with the ocean, more than any other culture out there. It just broke my heart, but at the same time, it is what it is. We're a smaller demographic. That's what it comes down to. We're a smaller demographic.
And that's interesting because when we say Island City Media Group, when Q and Ammon and Eddie brought me on as the president, I just came back from Cozumel, Mexico. The year before that, I was in the freaking Bahamas. And I just brought up to them that, hey, island culture, speaking pidgin is an island thing, regardless of where that island is.
Yep.
Right. So I just think that this whole island, Pacific Island, Atlantic islands, and then like the the Italian islands off the coast of, I think there's going to be a major connection that starts to happen because geography is huge, just like demographics. Geography is huge. So we were down in Cozumel, and the lead guy was like looked like this Caucasian cat. And he came, and I was just like, sir, we're looking for this excursion. And he goes, oh, man, you in the right place, man. You just stay right here. We're going to be back in 3 minutes. And I was like, am I in Hawaii? So the whole pigeon and the whole soup and like fish and fish-based and plantains and like there's some people next to us who were eating on the cruise boat. And they're like, man, what kind of, these are like sweet bananas. And I'm like, man, I know what that is. That's plantains. And we love that stuff.
Right.
So, culture and the human experience is absolutely amazing. Talk to us about like, what should we be looking out for? And I know Hollywood, there's certain things you can only release at certain times, but what are some things that we should be looking out for that you're working on?
Well, we've had like the most amazing, blessing come on us on this show, because usually shows when a season for a show is usually around 20-23 episodes. Sometimes they'll go a little further, but we got blessed with 39 episodes for this season, which is again another 15-20 episodes beyond what you usually get. And so our season doesn't end as far as us writing until June. So
the exact show, Freddie, what exact show is this?
This is That Girl Lele that I'm still on.
The Girl Lele. Yep.
That Girl Lele. And so we got that. So we're still plugging away. The first 13, they aired on Nickelodeon. They finished airing. So it's 39 episodes, but the first 13 have aired. Those first 13 from season 2 will now be on Netflix. I think at the end of February, sometime in February, early March. I have 2 episodes in that first 13.
That's
and
awesome.
That one of those episodes, it was again a dream come true, because I think I talked about this a little bit, or not on your show, but and people have seen it on social media, but still a dream come true for me is my guest star for my first episode for Lele that I wrote was DMC from Run DMC. And unbelievable, man. I got to, and because of that, again, God working the way he does, there's some projects that I was working on that. I was looking for a to attach some stars to, and me and DMC hit it off so well that now he's attached to one of these projects that I'm going to be pitching to try and sell in the next few months. But
That's awesome.
I'm really excited, and it's so how it's gonna work with That Girl Lele, and so Nickelodeon's gonna keep airing like in blocks of 13, and then a few months later they'll appear on Netflix. And so in about 2 weeks is an episode that I wrote. They're gonna be doing so we're gonna be shooting it in a couple weeks. I'm super excited because for the last like 20 something, about 15, 20 years, I've pitched this episode to at other shows, and just the timing wasn't right, the things weren't right, and finally it is right, and it's a boxing episode, and so they're gonna let me be a part of helping choreograph it, and with the stunt coordinator, and so I'm really excited for that because I kind of get this that world is so, I know that world so well, and now I get to kind of use that and kind of showcase it in a different way, because I really want to show boxing in a different way than you've seen on TV. So hopefully it all works out. When you're shooting, so when you only have 2 days to shoot, things that you want to do don't always end up being able to be, just for the sake of time, you have to just find those little things and then get them done. But I'm hoping that when we choreograph these fights, that they're really gonna turn heads, and just kind of get people to laugh in a different way when it comes to boxing. So
That's awesome, man. So I did my first boxing workout, wore me out, brother, in December. So shout out to my boy Aldrin. Man, he got me all gloved up, wrapped up, and everything. And I was only doing like 2-minute rounds, had a bell going and everything, man. And I was just hitting gloves, and he was like, no, it's just all speed. Wow, wow, wow. No, not power. I was like, that was all the speed I had. That's all the speed I had. But he was like, man, bro, you can throw. Have you ever boxed? I was like, nah, man. I mean, I threw hands in Pomona. You got to be able to throw. Right. You got to be able to throw hands. But I didn't get into a lot of scuffles. But if I did get into it, being that I was 95 pounds in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you better bet I'm going to throw first, and I'm going to go get mine. Hey, let's go shout outs, Freddie. Let's go shout outs. Who would you shout out here on the Coach V Show?
Oh, wow. Well, definitely shout out again to David A. Arnold, rest in peace. Shout out to Ron and John, Ron Hart, John Beck, who are the showrunners as well on our show. I wrote with them on Liv and Maddie and Disney, and they were instrumental on getting me onto Lele. And then shout out to the whole staff and to our cast. We have an amazing cast, to Gabby and Lele, and to Tommy and Tiffany and Peyton. Shout out to just our whole cast and crew. They're amazing. And then to my to my parents, man. If I will
introduce us to your parents, give us your parents' names. Shout out your parents, please.
Shout out to Fred and Jenny Guiterrez. Again, that we talked about. You can't never do none of this alone, right? And I wouldn't. I mean, literally, I wouldn't be here without them. But also, my career wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for their support in those times when things were rough. They didn't just be like, go get a regular job. They helped me out when I needed it. They knew that and even though honestly, I don't think they still don't even really know what the hell I do. Like,
come on. That's why I asked. I was like, so what do you do? Yeah.
And our parents are from that time. Like, and again, our islands are so far from Hollywood that none of this computes. I got my parents on the show last year. They in December when they were visiting, they ended up being extras on the show. But my dad still didn't really understand what was going on because 85-year-old dude that's like, he still doesn't get it, like that world. And but even though they didn't understand or even get what I did, they still supported me and helped me out. And and so, again, shout out to them. And then just Q into everybody at Island City, man. We have the greatest network or station in the world, and I know that when the world finally takes notice, and they are now, but when they really take notice, boy, we about to do big things, or we're doing big things, and we're gonna do even bigger things. So shout out to our guys from Island City. So,
yeah, and what about your show too? Talk about your show, Freddie, and when it airs and all that on Island City.
Our show is Cocktail Movies and Stuff. It airs on Fridays at 1 p.m. It's breaking my heart. I mean, it's a you know, I can't complain, but at the same time, me, Avery, and Valencia. So Avery's an actor, Valencia's a writer, and we all were just blessed in 2022 and with work, where it was just so hard for us to get together to shoot to do our show because we're all working. Avery was, you know, he was doing series on Netflix. Valencia was running a show for her first time running a show for BET Plus. And so we just, it was called All the Queen's Men on BET Plus. And so we haven't been able to get together, but we're trying so hard in these next few months to just carve out some time and get some shows done. But our show is called Cocktail Movies and Stuff, and exactly what it is. We like to just highlight you know, spirits and beer and wine from around the country that are just unique, different from distilleries or breweries or wineries. And then, you know, since we're all in the industry, we review things on the streaming sites from a Hollywood point of view, from kind of a Hollywood insider's point of view. Since we're all doing it for a living, we kind of have a different way of looking at things than just your regular movie critic who watches it. So, and then stuff, if we see something that's really cool that we think y'all need to know about, we'll let you know. So, so that's our show. And we're looking forward. I mean, people keep hitting me up about being featured on the show, and I want to feature all of these people and just get things out there. And we just haven't had the time, but I'm really praying that we are able to do it. So we just been running reruns right now, like our best of, and then we did do Island Mystery Theater, and then during the pandemic, and I'm hoping to try and get that going again, where we took that back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they had those radio dramas, and honestly, I think this was the first time in Hollywood as well, history in Hollywood, where we had Samoan, Hawaiian, Chamorro, I even think Tongan actors with African-American and white actors all on one show together, making a radio drama. And we did 2 episodes, they're hour long, and we had so much fun doing it. We created a fictitious island, and we were doing like these kind of mystery. One was more of a murder mystery than the other episode was more of a supernatural kind of thing. But we got a lot of good feedback. I think people were really digging it. It was fun to make. It was hard to make, especially during the pandemic, because everything was done over Zoom. But we had a blast, and it was fun to just create and to feature all of these cultures and just have fun and again showcase our cultures. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thanks for taking time to come on the show. Final. Go ahead, take 30 seconds to a minute. What's your final thoughts on being on the show? Any final thoughts in general, and I'll sign us off, brother.
Final thoughts is, man, I love this show, and I really need to hire you. Seriously, I need to jump on, be one of your clients. And but this is it's amazing. I'm glad that we finally were able to make this happen.
Yep. Thank you.
You inspire. Seriously, you are an inspiration. You inspire so many people, and I'm just man, I'm honored to be on your show and thankful, and I just love what you're doing. And again, our people, I always say it, our islands are small, but we make big impacts. And I want the world to know what we can do. And I hope that I'm a part of that, going forward in the future. So thank you, man, for letting me be on.
No, thank you for coming on the show. And you're just not a part of it, baby. You're blazing the trail. You're blazing the trail. And I think the world of you as well, Freddie. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of the Coach V Show on Island City Media, where the beach meets the streets. Here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. And for Eddie and I, it's just not just for the sake of just success that you tune in and just tap into a show like this, but really for the sake that you be your best, because in doing so you realize the best of your abilities and that everything you dream, work, and pray for can be achieved. This is how your boy Freddie and how your boy Coach V lives, all about faith and family, grateful for God's amazing grace. We'll see you next Mountain Motivation Monday. And again, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We'll see you next time. From your boy Freddie, your boy V, one love, mad respects, live it. Choo-hoo!